Okay, I'm going to spend more of the time explaining what I was supposed to include in the previous video when I was doing this sketch, the left foot, rather than demonstrating the sketching of the right foot. I think I'll leave that for another video. I just want to point out the following things. Once again, I've divided up the picture into quarters in order to be able to orientate yourself as to where what is on the picture. So then I went and I doubled this because it's very small. So I doubled it up in order to create a bigger picture. Remember, your aim is to cover as much of your surface as possible. Then I drew the quarters in the double, I just multiplied it by 2. I measured it, multiplied by 2, and then I drew it on the page in order to have the same proportion as the picture itself, and then to draw in. Then what I did was I outlined the picture. In the picture I outlined the feet without going into any detail. I outlined the entire shape of the feet, and then I drew that outline on the page, and then I started filling in the detail. Now I can shade this more, and there's obviously there's not enough. It doesn't look as realistic as it's supposed to. Also, I cut out a lot of the background. There's a beautiful view over the ocean and the mountains and all that, but I cut out that detail in order to focus on the feet themselves. What you can do is you can also put your feet out in front of you and draw from life, and try and do it that way. Cross over your ankles maybe, just to draw a different kind of perspective and all that, and then you start putting the shapes. What I did was I put the basic shapes, almost like we did in that exercise on the shapes, 2 rectangles for the feet and the ankles and the bottom part of the legs, and then you start, I'm just going to do this very briefly, you start lining out by looking at the quarters here. Where is this part of the foot? There on that line, where does it cross over? And starting to put out the basic outlines of the toes. Where's this toe in proportion to the one next to it? There's a bit of a space between them, so you make that space, and you can overdraw and things like that. It doesn't really matter. You can start putting in some detail, but the main thing is not to think like we did in that other exercise about the blind drawing of the hand, the going into the right brain. Don't overthink in terms of words and descriptions, rather think in terms of lines, and getting the lines right and getting them in proportion to your picture. So this is as far as I'm going to go. Let's just going to go quickly just to get the outlines here, and then you start shading them. So remember to look at your picture 3 times as much as you look at your drawing, even sometimes doing a blind drawing like that, going into the right brain exercise without even looking at your picture, or at least looking at your paper where you're drawing, and rather looking at the picture, your reference picture itself. I found this picture on a site on Facebook. It's called Free Reference Photos for Artists, where you can go find thousands of photographs that are entirely free for you to draw. And it is good to go there and to do practice. You can even post your final product on there, but you have to mention the original photographer as to indicate, to give the person credit for his work. And also, if you post in a public post, you've got to mention the original artist of the picture. So yeah, I'm just doing this very roughly. I'm not going to put in all these extra shades which comes from the rails of the balcony, so I'm not putting that in. I'm just putting in the basic shades. You can put in the original shapes as you wish, and also at this point, if you've used your reference lines, your construction lines, you can go and erase them in order to create a tidier picture. Alright, I'm over and out for now so that I can post your picture for you. Okay, here we go.